The Indianapolis 500 is more than just a race. It's a legend, a cultural icon. For those that compete, a hunger.
This is, and always will be, the greatest spectacle in racing.
I started drinking at 6 a.m. We're here now. I don't know what time it is. But I'm rolling deep. And those cars are going real fast. Real fast.
It's 500 for everybody to see. Ready right here.
Side by side behind.
It's not over yet. It's not over yet. Malukas has to defend from Rosenqvist. Great run off the final corner. Here comes Rosenqvist. Malukas defends. Who has it? Over the line. Who's it going to be?
Outside.
It's Rosenqvist.
Clear.
It's Rosenqvist.
Oh my goodness!
Whoa. Oh, what a month of May.
You just won the Indy 500. You just won, buddy. Wish you were here. Oh, thank you, guys. What a race. What a race. My God, good job, buddy. You take your time coming in. Enjoy that. Enjoy it.
Ladies and gentlemen, oh my goodness, what did we just watch? What did we just put ourselves through for the last 3 hours? Holy crap, that is one of the best 500s I've ever seen in my life. That's up there with 2006. I was 5 years old when that happened. The rookie, so much you could say, but David Malukas has to be America's favorite driver today for what he tried to do. If he just could pull it all the way to the end, it could have been one of the most amazing things. Oh, this was a beautiful race. If you want to have the picture perfect Indianapolis 500-mile race, this was it. I love May. I love May, dude. I love May. Oh my goodness. That was up there, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Indianapolis 500 Podcast Support Court production. Oh my gosh. Oh, that was one of the best, most ridiculous, most unbelievable, most catastrophic races I've ever seen in my entire life. That was up there with one of the best Indy 500s maybe ever. 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 Everybody cannot stop talking about this. This is going to be talked about for weeks, months, years, decades, centuries. As long as the planet is around and the UFOs don't take over in the sky and they don't bring the Martians and the spaceships and everything else, this has to be a moment that will be remembered forever and ever and ever. As the great country song said, forever and ever, amen. That was incredible. Close to 60. I bet this broke a record today with how many drivers were not only contending for the first place spot, but this has to be the most lead changes ever in Indy 500 history. This is not even a joke. This probably smashed some records here and there. We all know that, of course, Scott Dixon broke the all-time laps led record. We had probably close to 70 lead changes. It was ridiculous. It was just ridiculous. This was everything that they should make a movie. If you want to picture a movie about the Indy 500, this was the movie. This was it. This was unbelievable. This was unbelievable. The race from start to finish, from the moment that Alexander Rossi and Alex Palou were battling for the first place spot, all the way until the very end of that race, you wouldn't even believe on your life that this race would have been great. We saw last year, we thought last year was, this is going to be the same product. It's going to be cold. It's going to be rainy. It's going to be a lot of rain. Rain's going to be in the forecast. Oh no, rain didn't even spoil the day. You know what happened when we buried my grandmother at her funeral? There was no rain, and I would thank God for that. There was no rain in this forecast today because this could have been a washed out funeral or something thereof, but this was the most beautiful, amazing, most luxurious, most magnificent thing to have ever happened on the face of the earth, and that's why we're red-blooded Americans, folks. That's why we're red-blooded Americans. This is up there as one of the best 500s I've ever watched in my life, and oh my gosh, I cannot believe I didn't attend it. But we couldn't do it this year, and cost-effective wise, my gosh, we needed a race like that after the week that NASCAR and INDYCAR and Tony Stewart and all those guys have dealt with all week. This is what I love about motorsports. This was the best thing to ever happen in a week of tragedy. A week of tragedy. Kyle Busch, thank you. The racing gods, thank you for an amazing race to get our minds off of that tragedy. Whew. Goodness gracious, that was a great race. There's no question. That was the best 500 I might have watched in my life. That's up there with 2024, 2006, 2012, 2013. Of course, 2011 has to be the second up there. So it's just Dan Weldon, especially with that pass at the end. But this, I'd say this is top 3. This is top 5 at least on my book. If you're older than me, you probably remember 92 like it was yesterday. You probably remember Danny Sullivan spinning in 86. You probably remember Marco Andretti not only doing the impossible, but almost doing the impossible. And then you could also think of 2011, like I mentioned earlier, with Dan Weldon and J.R. Hildebrand, him crashing into the wall. It could have came down to that today, but the cars went left and right and side to side. This reminded me so much of 2006, it wasn't even funny. 20 years later, we get a finish just like that with one of the closest finishes in Indy 500 history. But let me shout it from the rooftop. I love May! I love May! That is why you love May! That is why! Oh my goodness! That was one of the best races ever in Indy 500 history. That's up there with... sorry, I can't get over that. Oh man, that was up there. That was up there, man. That was really up there. That was just from start to finish, from back home again to everything else. This has to be the best finish ever. This is not funny. I can't get over what just happened. And man, wow, we'll have more results on the results tomorrow on standings, and we will look into the top 5 for now as Felix Rosenqvist, the Swedish-born driver, getting his chance to drink the milk. He's celebrating with the rest of his team as we speak. He's about to drink the milk. Let's see if he goes classy with it. Hugging his owners. David Letterman, I think, is up there. I don't think he is, but I think he was up there. I'm not for sure. I think I found coincidental. It had the cars 6, 66, and 6. So you would think that's an unlucky number, especially when you think about how demonic the number is. But man, that owner, whoever that guy is probably jumping up and down. That can break. That can break. That number means something now. 60, 66, and 6. So I'm not saying it does mean something as he gets his wreath, celebrating to the crowd, the fans celebrating. He's the 3rd Swedish driver in the history of the Indy 500 to win the Indy 500. This was an unreal... Where's the milk? I don't think the milk's going to be in his hands yet. We're going to get to the full results of this race, but it's going to be as follows. The final results are as follows. Felix Rosenqvist, number 1. David Malakis, number 2. Scott McLaughlin, number 3. Pato O'Ward, who led for a lot of the race. He led for just a good portion of the end. Couldn't get it done after a pit stop. Rosenqvist used lap strategy, pit strategy, as now the owner of the race owner of that race car is drinking the milk, not Marcus Ericsson, or not Felix Rosenqvist. Man, who would do that? I thought he'd drink some of that milk. Maybe he did as he's hugging his teammates right now. Pato O'Ward led a lot of that race, especially at the end. But Pato O'Ward was amazing today. But Rosenqvist was even better. He used pit strategy, especially around the end of this race. From 30 laps down on, Rosenqvist knew how to use his gas. He knew how to use his tires. He knew how to use pit strategy just to get an advantage. And he did that perfectly. Perfectly. If you're Penske, you are rolling right now. You've probably seen bigger finishes than this. This was not even funny. This is the full lineup here, folks. This was the full lineup. At the start of the race, Alex Palou led. Rossi and Palou. It was the Rossi-Palou show. Lap 16, Palou took the lead. And then Palou continued to lead and kept sideswiping it between Palou and Rossi. Ryan Hunter-Reay spins on lap 18. Palou leads for most of the laps, especially out of the pit lane, as VK and Grosjean took over the lead in the front row at times. And then, of course, you had the wreck with Catherine Legge, which we'll get into more of that tomorrow. I mean, Catherine Legge, I thought she'd have more in her tank, but she didn't have a lot in her tank today. She wrecked, didn't use the car very well, and wrecked kind of like how Danica Patrick would back in the day. But especially, she drove really well. I hope she does well at Charlotte. Of course, she is dead last on the standings today. She wrecked out first, and it was just a mess for 6 drivers, but a real mess and a real just Cinderella upset here at the Indianapolis 500. But a really big classic. Excuse me, it was a classic. An absolute classic. And people like myself dream of finishes like that. But Palou took the lead at lap 40. Palou then was taking the lead all the way through the pit stops. On lap 63, 66, the pit stops were complete as Palou led. Dixon took the lead on lap 78. Will Power slowed down and took the lead a little bit, or I think he took the lead, but he slowed down and spun on the apron, resulting in a caution. Then there was a red flag around lap 106 for Raid. And then at lap 116, the caution was out for weather. So they had to really glide along and shift around the racetrack. And even after the red flag, they still caught up and were still able to take more of the advantage of the timing. So you really, sorry about that. So really just took advantage of a lot of timing. And so lap 116, the caution was out for weather. So they raced with Newgarden taking advantage and really, most importantly, allowed drivers like Palou, Daly, Malakis. Of course, Daly took the lead, especially on green flags. Especially on the green flag. Newgarden actually clipped the back. Actually, I got it wrong. I'm sorry. I was reading this wrong. Newgarden clipped the back on the first green flag, and then the caution was out, and then taking the lead lap was, then after that caution, the green flag came out. Palou and Daly split Malakis, and Daly took the lead on turn 1. That was pretty much the last time he had taken the lead for the entire day. On lap 134, 135, McLaughlin and Palou clear Connor Daly to take the lead. Lap 36, Palou clears McLaughlin for the lead. Lap 137, McLaughlin took the lead and kept the lead as Daly followed him through second place. Lap 39, a 3-wide battle for the lead took place as Palou took it away from everybody else. And then there was the pit cycle at 147. At lap 147, David Malakis led that. Then 148 to the last bit of the race was a complete classic. Malakis dove for the pit lane with McLaughlin, and the pit cycle was very successful for both drivers, but Palou and others head for the pit lane a lap later, and then Rosenqvist and O'Ward were running alongside each other. Of course, Rosenqvist would later take the win, but O'Ward was really catching up, and at one point of the race, at the end, he was really catching up to just about everybody. O'Ward did an amazing job handling his car, and Palou did an amazing job handling his car, but Rosenqvist did the best pit strategy, especially with 25 left to go. He pits with 25 left to go, uses fuel strategy all the way to the end, and then the crazy parts were beginning to happen as O'Ward took the lead, and then he had the pit. They both saved on fuel, but O'Ward led with 16 laps to go, with Rosenqvist and Armstrong, all three tying to make it to the end. Malakis ran for fourth with 18 seconds behind them. And then 15 to go. Rosenqvist has run on award, and he took the lead away. With 9 to go, Kyle Collette, who ran an amazing race today, there was nothing wrong with him. He had an amazing race. He had the pit with on the lap 40, but other than that, he did such an amazing job. He showed everybody. You know how, like at the Masters golf tournament, that there's always that driver or that driver that works well for that one golfer, and it just works so well for them, and they just work on it and work on it and work on it and work on it and work on it, and they continue going. It pretty much felt like that. It was like that driver was working for Tiger, and he was just doing so well. And so it was like Kyle Collette was having the right driver, getting on the right angles of the golf course, and he did a great job until 9 laps to go when he hit the wall in a very scary accident. And with 4 to go, because then IMS was wanting to rush this race, Rosenqvist, Award, and Armstrong were all trying to get the lead, and Armstrong cleared the lane for the lead. Malakas followed them through on the outside for turn 2. Mick Schumacher had to brush the wall, though, that then resulted in a caution, and I don't know why it resulted in a caution, but this was just awful because he didn't even get into a wreck. If he got into a wreck, I would understand, but they had to really hurry things up. And so once they hurried things up, the action got so intense with 1 to go. Armstrong took the lead first. Then it was David Malakas. And he took the lead from turn 2 to turn 3. Going into turn 4, that was just a thing of beauty. As Rosenqvist goes in on the inside, just like Hornish Jr., just the opposite of Hornish Jr. Because you have to remember, Marco Andretti was on the outside, Hornish was on the inside. Kind of similar scenario. But Malakas was on the outside. And then Rosenqvist was on the inside. Rosenqvist takes the lead, and he takes the win, jumping into the outside lane, winning the Indy 500. And so the results right now hold that Rosenqvist at 1, David Malakas in 2nd place, Scott McLaughlin 3rd, Pato O'Ward 4th, Marcus Armstrong 5th, Rinus VeeKay 6th, Alex Palou 7th, Santino Ferrucci at 8th, Romain Grosjean at 9, Takuma Sato at 10, Nolan Siegel at 11, Connor Daly at 12. He tried so hard today to run. He was representing Indiana super well. He had a great advantage. I had him or Pato O'Ward winning, but I came so close again. But Marcus Ericsson was at 13th, Kip Simpson 14th, Scott Dixon 15th, Kyle Kirkwood 16th, Christian Lundgaard 17th, Mick Schumacher 18th, Dennis Hager 19th, Graham Rahal 20th, Luis Foster 21, Jack Harvey 22, Stingray Robb finished in 23rd, Jacob Abel at 24th, Helio Castroneves finished at 25th, Kyle Collette, of course, wrecked, and the rest of these drivers had wrecked from 26 down to 33, so we'll list them by name. Collette 26th, Christian Rasmussen 27th, Joseph Newgarden finished in 28th, kind of shocking for him. Will Power 29th, Alexander Rossi finished in 30th with a broken toe. I don't think he's going to race next race in Detroit, but we'll wait to see on that. Ed Carpenter finished in 31st. Ryan Under-Reyes finished in 32nd. And in last place for this year's Indy 500 was Catherine Legg at 23rd. We might need a force quit on that, but hold on. There we go. And so, wow, man. My thoughts are just all over the place right now. That was an unbelievable race. And we hope next year's will be even as good as this. I take this Indy 500 any day of the week. There's not one of these races I would not take any day of the week. This was what you could picture the Indy 500 being. But it kind of reminded me a lot of when the Chicago Cubs won the World Series. I mean, this was just one of those races. Sports in general this year have just been amazing. But man, this lived up to all the hype. Lived up to everything. Lived up, to the sport. Lived up to everything that we wanted. And it lived up to all the marbles. And we'll have more on this tomorrow as we'll go deeper and dive more deeper into the post-race coverage and more analysis of this race and get into analysis, stats, scores, everything like that, and talk to you more about that. If you're an F1 fan, turn this off and just listen to this later. But, I mean, I know if you're a NASCAR fan, you could also turn this off or just listen to us tonight here on the Indianapolis 500 podcast at Borg Warner Production. An instant classic at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway is what I can instantly tell you right now. Probably one of the greatest 500s we've ever watched. If you're old enough to remember 96, 1992, this was just like that. If you were old enough like me to remember 2006 or 2011, this trumps all that. This trumps it. This was an amazing race. Just unbelievable from start to finish. Just having Signetti drive the pace car and everything else. It was just, I need a minute to really collect my thoughts fully. But I wanted to get into an instant reaction. This might be 20 minutes or so, but we will get more into this tomorrow. This was just unbelievable driving by just about everybody. And everyone put on a show for those 350,000 fans that were there. It was an amazing race, and I'm not even sugarcoating it. And I will have highlights tomorrow and talk about that tomorrow, but I bet there will be highlights online. And not only that, I don't know who's calling me right now. I don't know who would be calling me right now, but I mean, hopefully it's from the winner's circle and not from anywhere else. We'll just let that ring for right now. I have no idea why that's ringing, but I think someone got the wrong number. Really not the wrong number. I bet they missed a lot. Maybe they were on a road trip or something and they missed a lot. If you missed a lot, welcome everyone to the Indianapolis 500 podcast, the Borg Order production. This was the instant reaction to the race. I need a minute. I might wait until either tonight or tomorrow to record again because this was a lot. I have no words to describe this race except this was unbelievable. It was the race that we all wanted, everyone, and I mean everyone wanted this race. Oh, this was amazing. Amazing is just a great word to describe this, but it really was one of the best races that I've ever seen in my lifetime besides 2006 and 2011. All right, guys. We want to thank you so much for listening right now. We'll get into more of this tomorrow. Expect a podcast around 6 p.m. tomorrow night or 3 p.m. tomorrow afternoon, describing more about the Indy 500. This was the instant reaction to the 110th running of the Indy 500, and we'll talk to you more soon. Thanks, have a great day, and congratulations to FELIX ROSENQVIST, your 110th Indianapolis 500 winner.